All right, here we go. Episode 36. He's Jason Ginty. My name is Rod Ryan, and we are doing a podcast 2 weeks in a row.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Big cliffhanger from last week's podcast. I'll get into that shortly, but we are underway with Mardi Gras. The King's Day has passed. King cakes are floating around, so I'm going to pick Jason's brain a little bit about what New Orleans is looking like right now for Mardi Gras, because there is already celebrations. And then we're going to talk a little Foo Fighters today on the show, Jake.
Yeah, we are. Check out the shirt. Check out the shirt. This is why you're going to watch. I'm wearing, I think, actually, this was a birthday gift from Rodney Ryan. I think. Yeah,
I think you're right.
You did a nice job, buddy. I like this shirt, man. It's not as good as the Nickelback one, I will say. Right. Not quite up to par with Nickelback, the Krog, as we dubbed it a couple episodes ago. This is why you got to watch YouTube, man. You got to watch the YouTube channel, Play Pants Pod, because you get to see the wardrobes. We could get a wardrobe sponsor, dude. We could get a wardrobe sponsor. So yeah, a lot of Foo Fighters going down today. I'm excited about this. It's gonna be tough.
So Dave Grohl's got a birthday coming up on Friday. We're recording on Wednesday, January 12th. And then, of course, we got a huge weekend of football. Jason's still a Bills fan. It's kind of like in your blood. When you're born there, you can't really shake it. So we've got some football that we're going to talk about today. So a little Mardi Gras, a little Foo, a little football. And like I said, I've been hanging out and hanging on just like everybody out there. You teased last week's episode that you almost killed your family, and it was like some bad late night comedy bit. You're like, well, we're out of town. We're out of time. I'm going to have to get to that later. You don't just throw out that you almost killed your family and then don't at least give us something. There were no crumbs, no nothing. I know you went on vacation recently to Belize. You talked about it in the last podcast. How did you almost kill your family? I mean, people are emailing me. They're asking me. I said, I don't know. We don't talk. I don't know. I see him once a week for an hour and a half.
You know, afterwards, I saw some of the comments on our YouTube channel, on our social media pages at Play Pants Pod, by the way. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's a horrible thing to say and then just walk away like no big deal. I didn't even say if everyone's still alive. And just so you know, not to ruin any of the story, but they're all still alive. So that's cool. No, Rod. So I went to Belize between Christmas and New Year's. I talked to the wife back in like October, and I said, hey, what are we doing for New Year's Eve? She goes, nothing. I go, good. Let's get out of town. So long story short, a buddy of mine, Eric, who you know, had recently acquired last spring a small condo in Belize north of San Pedro, if you're familiar with the area. And he says, man, you ever want to use that? Go for it. Well, if you ever say to me, if you ever want to use that, bitch, I'm using it. Okay. Right. Just be careful with that. Cause people just say that, oh, you can borrow it anytime, No. I'm the guy that's going to take you up on the offer. So he lets me go down there for a week, stay at his place. He says, it's yours, your place, do what you got, pay the whatever, pay a few things here and there and take care of it. And we're good. I'm like, okay. And he's only stayed there for like a week total. I actually have stayed in his place that he bought and paid for more than he has since he bought it. Okay. Oh, that's nice. I know, kind of cool. Beautiful place, great week of vacation. It was awesome. Day 3, I decided, hey, you know what? Why don't I cook up breakfast for the fam? Gonna cook some breakfast, instead of going out, you save a few bucks. And we had bought some groceries, and my friend Eric, he goes, hey, listen, I turned the gas off below underneath the condo because it's up on stilts, it's up in the air because of hurricanes in Belize. He says, you just got to go down there, turn the thing on, and then turn on the oven. It's a gas oven, and just cook. I go, okay. And then just turn it off before you leave to go back home to New Orleans. I go, sounds like a smart move. Turn off your gas. That's a good idea because it's empty a lot. So I do that. I whip up some delicious treats, man. I cook up some breakfast. Everything's going great. Gas oven, it's cooking great. We sit down, we eat. Turned all the burners off, everything like you would, My son goes into the back bedroom. Now, when you're in the back bedroom, the only way to get in and out of my buddy's condo is coming through the kitchen where I just cooked. There's only one door to get out of his condo and down some stairs.
Gotcha.
He's got a front deck that looks over the lagoon that there's no stairs getting down to the ground from there. It's just a deck you can go stand on. It's like one story up. So I'm cleaning up the dishes. My wife's getting ready. My kid's playing video games on his iPad in his bedroom, the door closed, of course, because he's 13. And then my wife is sitting on the couch. She's kind of preparing to get out for the day. And all of a sudden, flames, it's not funny, flames are shooting out behind the stovetop. And it's a regular oven, okay? It's got the burners, the whole thing. I shut everything off, so there was nothing on the oven. Flames were shooting out behind the stovetop, where your wall is. And they're going, and he's got, a lot of people have that exhaust fan on top of your stovetop. He doesn't have that. He's got like wood cupboards, and Belize is really into using a lot of woodwork. And I got a box of Cheerios sitting right next to the oven. And there's a cutting board, and there's all this shit stacked around the stovetop because, you're just staying there for a couple of days. Flames are pouring out of the back, and they're rolling. The fucking flames are rolling up the back
into
wall,
the cupboards,
up underneath the cupboards. So they're blowing out past the cupboards and then going up over the doors. If you can picture that. I know it's not exactly an easy picture, but so flames are rolling out of the back of my buddy's freaking oven. My kid's in the back room. I go, holy shit. So I just grab a towel, which is the worst thing, never fan flames. But when you're in this panic mode, this is why people freaking burn their houses down, because they don't know what they're doing.
Let me snap this flame's ass with a towel, and like the old gym move, like the old locker room move.
So I take the towel, and I thought, okay, I'll just slam it down on top of the oven real fast, and that'll snuff it out, and then the towel and all this shit. Because, okay, that's what my first initial thought was. And I start yelling, get Henry, get out of the house. My wife's like, oh my God. So then there's screaming, and there's yelling, and there's flailing about, and there's wildness going on, dude. And this is happening in all of the range of 3 seconds. Jeez. The flame won't go out. I wet the towel real quick. I throw it back down on the oven, and there's a small gap between the back of the stove and the wall. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this on fire? Doesn't make any sense,
Did you say you turned the gas off? This is right after you got done cooking?
Right. This is 10 minutes after I got done eating. So the thing's been sitting there. Obviously, there's been a fire going. I didn't know it. So the flames are still pouring out. And I'm trying to keep the flames down from going up along the woodwork, because once the wood starts on fire, it's game over. Done. His whole place is gone. So all this is happening, and I'm thinking, oh my God, my buddy lent me his place for a week, and I'm going to burn the fucking place down, dude.
Oh my God.
Again, now we're at 2.5, 3 seconds into this whole ordeal, because it goes fast. I'm screaming to my wife, get Henry, get the hell out of the house. Well, she grabs him, and they run out on the deck. I'm like,
wrong way.
Don't go there, because you can't get out. You can't get down. So they go running past me out the door, and I go, hey. So now I'm caught in this conundrum. I know in my head it's a gas leak. The gas is what's keeping this going. I'll never beat this flame out with the gas still. The gas somehow is leaking, and it caught on fire. You're never putting that fire up unless you turn
the gas off.
The gas is literally, I got to go across a deck, down a flight of stairs, and then run underneath the house. If I go and do that, I got flames rolling out of the dude's freaking windows. It was going to go that fast. So I'm still beating the flames down, trying to throw water on it and keeping the flames from catching on the bottom of the wood cupboard. I yelled at my wife, go turn off the gas. It's underneath the house. Luckily, 2 days before, when we first got to the condo, me and my son walked around. We're walking under it because we're explorers. We're looking underneath, and I go, oh, that must be the gas that Eric was talking about. Okay, cool. I just happened to point it out. We looked at it. I'm like, oh, we'll turn that on when we go to use it. No need to turn it on now. For whatever reason, 2 days prior, we did that. So my wife is going, I don't know where the gas is. I don't know where it is. And Henry's like, it's over here. I'll show you. So because I showed my kid 2 days prior, just on a random whim.
You don't need a wrench or anything. I mean, is it
just a turn, just a knob, like a hose? So my wife, they get the gas turned off. The fire goes out, and there's just smoke on the edges of all the countertops and underneath.
Dude,
it's charred. The back is got this
condo.
Eric's condo. One of my best friends I've known since I was 5 years old. I almost burnt down his place. Now the damage was very minimal. I was able to clean all the smoke off of the cupboards, and like the cutting board that was kind of next to it kind of melted. No big deal. Damn, dude. So to give you the arsonist, or not the arson, but like when a fire department would have shown up, which they didn't, thank God. They inspect what went wrong. When I pulled the oven out, as soon as we got the gas and the fire out, Belize is not exactly up to code. There are no codes, or there's no building codes don't exist. You can do whatever.
I'm assuming there weren't any fire alarms in the house going off. There were no fire extinguishers.
Actually, well, see, here's the rub. Okay, his smoke alarm was going off, and I'm like, cool. I kind of know about the fire. That doesn't matter at this point. I'm dealing with the fire before the alarm went off. So me being a dope, what's the first thing you do when you get to a condo? Throw your shit down and go, right?
Jump on the bed.
You think, yeah, well, that too. You think I went running around going, well, safety first, everyone. I wonder where the fire extinguisher may be in this place. No, you don't do that. It's on top of the fridge. Dude, after the fire's all out, I'm chilling out, trying to catch my breath. I look up on the top of the fridge. Fire extinguisher sitting right, literally arms reach away. Never saw it. In the heat of the moment, you just don't see those things, right? And it's a foreign place. Never been there before. So use your gas lines on your stoves, not to talk dude stuff, but it's usually like a metal, a copper tube or whatever. It was plastic. It was like you would use for a water hose from down below to the gas.
The gas line wasn't metal.
It wasn't metal. It was plastic, dude. So somehow over time, it had slowly melted. Well, I happened to be the guy who used the stovetop. Damn. And it melted through. Somehow the heat kept going. The gas lit on fire. And I'm like, holy fuck. So a couple of things here, Rod. Everyone survived. Minimal damage. First thing, what if I had cooked something and just left? You know what I mean? You cook, okay, I'm out of here. Fuck it, go. Like cook something. It's gone. It's gone. I would have never known what happened. I'd have felt like the biggest piece of shit on the earth. Second of all, okay, everything's calmed down. We're all three of us sitting on the couch. Fucking windows are all open because all the smoke inhalation, you know, and we're just like chilling there, like looking at each other like, what the fuck just happened? I got to tell my buddy. I got to tell my friend who loaned me his new condo that I almost burnt the fucker down.
Yeah, you do.
And I had to do it through text because, you know, phone calls are crazy from Belize to the US. So I go, hey.
Did you take pictures?
Oh, yeah. I got all kinds of fucking pictures. I'll put some up on the podcast, on the YouTube version here. I go, hey, small incident. And he's real cool about it. You know, he's been in the Marines. He's like, dude, it's Belize. As long as everyone's all right, it's okay. All good. And then he had a guy look at it and they repaired it. All good. Everything's cool. I did not turn the fucking oven back on after that point. I probably never will. I look at my own stovetop now and I got PTSD. I start freaking out. Like I check it a million times. Like I freak out.
Do you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen?
Guess what? Nope, I don't. I'm getting one, obviously.
Yep.
Dude, but think about it. You know, everyone's going to be like, oh, it's just got the fire extinguisher.
I think I got one.
Because I just walked into the place. I didn't think, you don't think fire extinguisher. You're thinking, let's get fucked up. Let's go have some fun. So maybe a little pro tip. If you go on vacation, look for the fire extinguisher, you know, that kind of thing. And what's weird.
Does he have a guy on call in Belize that will fix shit? Or is there somebody that like takes care of all the properties there or something?
Yeah, there's like a condo association. And,
okay.
And just so you know, the place is super nice. I'm not saying a dump. I mean, the place was beautiful. You know, it's a very nice place. It just happened to have a shit ass connection to his oven. So everyone survived. Everyone's still freaked out. I can't look at the top of an oven anymore without losing my shit.
Jason's not allowed to come to any of your homes now.
Don't let me. I'm fucking dude. An event like that happens. You start to think the worst. Like, oh my God, what if we had left? What if me and my wife went out and my kid was there? You start thinking all those horrible things. And it's like, you just can't do that to yourself. Fire extinguisher. Yeah.
Get one. I had this, I've not done this here in New Orleans when I lived there. So now we're going back 18 years. I remember we had a friend, Angela, and she must have had them on the air or something. They went around your house and they did like a fire inspection. I'm sure this is pretty common. I just never have done it. It was a fire inspection, and they would come around and they would look at all your different points and like where you needed to keep a fire extinguisher. And it's not as obvious as it seems. You don't just have to put one under your kitchen sink because it's right there by the stove, by your barbecue, and all the different things. It was actually pretty interesting when he came down to talk about things. A ton of shit that you never think about at all. And
again, man, you know, there's going to be all kinds of comments like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Because there's a fucking fire blasted me in the face at my friend's house. My kid and my wife are 10 feet away. Like, and had I thought it through all the way, I thought enough to turn the gas off. I should have just pulled the damn oven out. I would have seen the problem. But then what? I got a hose that's got flames shooting out of it. So I don't know where you go from there when you're caught
Just
up. Hard
as that bitch. Be a man. Just get in there.
I should have just fucking went in there and just
punched it in the face.
Just bit it, put it in my mouth and snuffed it out, you know. But you know what? If you think about it, and I don't want to harp on this too much, I did fix the problem. 50 years old, I dropped a 10 even when I almost burnt the place down. I'd say that's dropping.
Still dropping 10s.
I would say that's me dropping a 10, bro. I'm telling you, I think it is. So that was almost killing the family, dude. And you don't know how you're going to react in those moments, man. It's like, you think you think can do anything, and you just have fire shooting at you, and you're like, I don't know anything right now. Yeah. Your mind goes blank as shit, man. It's weird. Have you ever had like a moment where you got yourself in some shit, like that kind of shit, where you're like, oh, fuck.
I've seen my grill go up before, thinking, oh shit. And it's underneath the balcony. This is my old house. And it's underneath the over of the balcony. And why did I put the grill here? And my buddy Mitch is there, and everything's fucking wrapped in bacon, and all the bacon grease is going down there. And it's just boom. I mean, the biggest flame. I had to paint the wall. It was like, it was darkness on the wall. I got a little scared there, because I'm like, how does your house burn down? Oh, like this, like bacon wrapped jalapenos. That's how your house burns down, because the bacon grease was just going down. It was actually, it was the biggest whoosh. Oh God, this is it. My house is done.
Yep. It's an awful feeling.
That's as close as I got. And then I always made sure that I had a fire extinguisher around my barbecue pits.
Probably a good idea.
Always.
Good idea. And there's probably a guy who's a fireman listening. It's going to go like, yeah, dummies, you got to have a fire extinguisher. But, you go on vacation. That's the last thing you're thinking about, man. But
you got to have the right fire extinguisher, too. There's stuff that puts out, grease fires, I think, needs a different distinguisher.
It's almost like fire sand. And I don't know if a fire extinguisher would have put out the gas if it took the air away from it.
Not if that gas was just feeding it. No way.
Anyway, yeah. Be careful out there, man. When you go to third world countries, just be careful. Shit ain't up to code.
Doesn't sound like you dropped a 10 that day, dude. I don't know.
I saved the place. I saved the house. I saved the family. That's a pretty big 10.
Half full guy with you,
and it wasn't my fault. Had it been like grease, like the bacon left on the oven or something, and I started on fire, I would say no way. Definitely not a 10 that day. But this, I'm thinking, fucking saved a guy's house. I'm thinking that's a big fat 10. And I don't know if you want to talk about more 10s, because I got more to tell you, but go ahead. I want to hear.
If you're cooking meth, if you're cooking meth and then that goes bad, is that still a 10?
No, you're an asshole. Yeah,
okay.
You deserve it. You deserve to have it blow up in your face then. Yeah, it's a different thing.
I don't know that everybody knows that Mardi Gras is going on right now in New Orleans. I think everybody kind of understands that Mardi Gras means Fat Tuesday, and the Monday before, and then that weekend before is a crazy party. Jason and I have been riding for the last couple of years on a parade. The crew of Tux, we ride on Saturday.
Yeah, that's February 26th, I think.
I've got February 26th at noon, but King's Day was last Thursday. Okay. So that's where, and we talked about it on the air. That's the Epiphany. That's when the three kings show up with all of the treats and stuff like that for baby Jesus. And that's when king cakes start rolling, right? King cake. Yeah. Frankincense and myrrh.
Oh, okay. Then, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can get, you can buy king cakes starting on King's Day. But there's celebrations and there are walking parades. There are things that are going on in New Orleans right now. It's carnival season, and there's something during the week all over the place on weekends. It's Mardi Gras time right now.
It is. It's slow. It's kind of a slow build. We had the crew of Joan of Arc, which celebrates the great Joan of Arc. It's a walking parade.
Clearing that up.
Well, I want to make sure everyone's got this.
Huge question. Could you just see the question marks here? Like, what the fuck is the Joan of Arc parade about?
it honors her, I guess. And she was never in New Orleans, which makes it even weirder. Anyway, it's a walking parade through the French Quarter, and it's badass. It's very cool, but it's small. You walk down, you drink some beers, you watch the parade. You're like, cool. All right. They do a great job.
That's on King's Day, right?
Yeah, that was last Thursday. So yeah,
Okay.
we kind of kick thing off. And there's like the Funny 40 Fellows, which I've never seen. I have no interest in seeing. They ride a streetcar and they throw beads out the streetcar windows. I guess it's cool. It's sort of the traditional first thing.
Yeah.
Kind of goofy, but whatever. And then, the rest of the week, there's been kind of nothing. I don't know if there's anything this weekend, but then you start, it's a slow build. It's a slow build. We'll have like the Crew de Vue is a great walking parade. It's completely filthy, completely dirty and awesome. Goes through the Quarter and the Marigny. That one's always a blast.
That's going to be on February 12th, I believe.
Yeah. And then you just start ramping up. And then it's like, okay, well, then you got the weekend you just talked about, the weekend leading in that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
The 2 weekends before Fat Tuesday, those are big weekends. Both of them are pretty big, huh?
Right. The opening weekend is like we call it, opening weekend. Those have gotten bigger and bigger every year. And that Saturday, that we call it the first Saturday, locals call it the first Saturday. That one's got like 3-day parades uptown and then like two night parades, or maybe it's vice versa. Either way, Saturday's a big day. Sunday's got like 4 or 5 uptown parades, which are amazing. And then Monday, Tuesday, you're off. And then Wednesday, there's a big parade. There's 2 parades on Wednesday. And then the shit just is wide open after that. It's parades every night. It's chaos.
The one thing that everybody does know that when you live there is you can't get around town. You can't get anywhere.
Worst.
Now, most people are partying, but a lot of people still have to work. And if you do work in what they call the Central Business District, the CBD, if you got to work uptown, and you cannot get around because all of the streets, the parades don't go on the same route. All the parades are different. A bunch of them will go back to back to back on the same route, but another day could happen and it's a completely different route, and it fucks up traffic in the whole city. I mean, you're okay with it. I mean, if you really have to get around, it's really a pain in the ass for about 2 weeks to get around town if you are working in anywhere near like downtown or uptown. But it's awesome. It's super awesome. Everybody's in a good mood. Everybody's partying. You're partying during the week. Like you said, right about now, it's just kind of, okay, it's starting. People are decorating for Mardi Gras. Kids are eating, even we got a king cake here. My kid had king cake after her dinner tonight.
Yeah.
It's the best. I mean, it really is just like the most awesome made up. It's not made up, but it happens. We always made that joke in New Orleans, especially on Fat Tuesday. If we would be standing down in the Quarter and we would always say, everywhere else in the world, it's Tuesday.
Yep.
Right now here in New Orleans, it's the biggest party in the world. It's Fat Tuesday. It's Mardi Gras. And all your buddies that lived elsewhere it was just another day. All the kids have off of school in New Orleans. I mean, it's just totally different. It's just amazing that still goes down. Galveston does it. And Galveston does a really great job of Mardi Gras. They do an awesome job. Galveston, I don't know if you've been down there. It's old. It's piratey. Mm-hmm. It's a port city, so it's got a ton of history. There's a ton of pirate history too. But they do a great job with Mardi Gras down there. So I usually end up going down for what you're calling the first weekend. I usually go down to Galveston. I'll do something down there. I think Three Doors Down is playing. The big difference between the two Mardi Gras is Mardi Gras in New Orleans is free. You walk around everywhere. Of course, you want to get on a balcony. You want to do any of that stuff, you're going to pay. But all the parades, all the beads, everything is free. Galveston, they need to monetize it. They need to, it's a huge moneymaker for them. So you kind of got to pay admission to get, they take this whole Strand area and they fence it in, and you got to kind of pay to get in there. But I never minded it. It's just, it's such a cool thing. So I get to experience Mardi Gras 2 different ways, usually every single year. It's pretty awesome.
Mardi Gras is such a mind-blowing experience. And I've done it for 25 years. And for the casual listener who's thinking fucking beer, boobs, beads, Bourbon Street, all the bees. that's just a slice of Mardi Gras. What I'm talking about, and I think what you're talking about, Rod, is whenever you say this to somebody, they go, "What the fuck?" Mardi Gras is a family event. Mardi Gras is family, and people just lose their mind. What? You're taking your kid down to Bourbon Street? No, not usually. You go to St. Charles Avenue. That's where I always go. You know what I mean? And it's like I've been on St. Charles Avenue for the last 20 years, basically. And in between the parades and as you're getting ready for the first one, it's a street party. People are cooking, drinking, eating. You're walking around. People are throwing footballs up and down the street.
It's like tailgating. Think about tailgating
for miles.
Think about tailgating, not so much in a parking lot, all up and down the street. Think about like a college town or something.
Yeah.
But it's tailgating. There's grills. There's just people everywhere, but you're right. It is families. Now, when you're young and you're single and the titties and the beer, that's going to be in the quarter. Yeah. That's going to be in the quarter. That's going to really be on Bourbon Street. And it is as wild as you want it to be. It really is. But I will have London, and I will have London at Mardi Gras, and she's not 4 years old yet. And it's a family thing. There's kids, there's everything. And it's more going uptown because that's where all the big parades will roll. And it's one family after another. Now, of course, there's a ton of tailgating. It's drinking. It's partying. It is partying, cooking and everything. I mean, it's just an amazing experience.
It's funny, like, I talk to tourists all the time from all over the world when they're in the city and they're like, gosh, I can't believe you guys get to drink on the street and you're partying all the time. I go, yeah, but we've been doing it for generations. I go, we know how to do it. This is not like any other city. It's not a big deal. We're partying on the street. You know what? I used to, when I had my daughter years and years ago, I'd push her in the stroller and I'd have a beer. They got drink holders and strollers. I'd have a beer in it. I'm pushing my kid down the street to go get ice cream. I got a beer. No big deal. My son, same thing. A stroller. I had 2 beers. I drank more. Second kid. You're allowed to do that, right? So It's like, and it's not like I'm getting trashed with my kid. I just having a beer. I'm a grown-up, man. I can do it, So when you say people are partying on the streets, yeah, but the kids are everywhere. Everyone's used to it. You're all watching out for kids. There's people most people have a spot on St. Charles Avenue or wherever you watch parades. And that's kind of where you go to all the time. I've been going to the same spot for the last 15 years. There's people that I'm friends with, good friends with, that I only see and talk to during Mardi Gras at the parades.
Right.
I don't see them the rest of the year, hardly ever. I'll hit them up on Facebook as a comment once in a while.
But they've watched Henry grow up, though.
I've watched their kids from zero. Yep. They're all 13, 14 years old now. It's insane. It's a very big family event. And yeah, it's a pain in the ass. And yeah, you got to drag shit and chairs and stuff. But you know what? To see the community, and it's all different communities together. It's not just, you got the rich uptowny folks who live in the mansions. And then you've got all the other neighborhoods. I mean, every walk of life you can imagine, all partying together mostly. And it's such a great time. And you go home with just bags of free shit. At the end of the day, your kid has got stuffed animals and beads and all kinds of badass stuff. So, I mean, you can't explain to somebody enough how Mardi Gras is a family thing. It's just, your kid's on your shoulders and the parade's going by and there's lights and the kids are just losing their shit,
Yeah, kids, I mean, a parade is cool for a kid, I think, when you're really young. But a parade after Mardi Gras, and they're not throwing beads, they're not throwing shit, you'll never want to go to see it. You'll never want to watch the Macy's Day Parade ever again.
It's the dumbest thing ever. It's terrible.
It's boring. The stuff that's being thrown and everything, it's awesome. It really is just, I'll be there, and I'll be there with my kid, we'll be at Mardi Gras.
The first time we ever saw a parade, Rod, we had a place in Metairie off of Veterans. And this is not the shit on Metairie and their parades, but they're nowhere near. It's like,
But the worst Metairie parade is better than every parade everywhere else.
True. Very much so. That's a good way of looking at it.
So Metairie would be, you're living in Houston and any just like these little outskirts,
Yeah, it's like going to see Guns N' Roses and, fucking Bang Tango opens up and you're like, Jesus Christ, I got to sit through this. You know what I mean? So the Metairie Parade is not that great, but we lived down the street when we first moved to New Orleans, and we had some friends we had met, and they're like, hey, let's go up to the parade. And I'm just remember looking at you going, what the fuck am I going to a parade for? Parades suck. It's a couple of fire trucks and some old dudes chucking out Tootsie Rolls. I'm not going. And she's like, let's go, grab some beers and let's fucking go.
Trust me, you're going to want to see this.
Dude, I've been going to parades since that day. It's unbelievable. So Mardi Gras is it's rolling now. And then as we roll closer, I'm sure we can talk. I don't want to do it this episode because we got a ton of other shit to cover today. But talk about the experience of actually riding in a Mardi Gras parade. That's an experience we need to go through because you can't describe it. You just can't, but we'll try in an upcoming episode as Mardi Gras gets closer, because we ride in this Crew of Tucks parade, because each parade that you see go by, they're all different, and they're all different organizations, and they're different, what they call crews. And we're in the Crew of Tucks that rides on that Saturday afternoon. And the reason I like Tucks so much is because it's more relaxed. There's not a lot of rules, and we can kind of do whatever the hell we want. And that's what makes it great. And then with us, we have a pirate ship that we ride, which is even better. So,
and I don't do a whole lot of day drinking now in my life. It just doesn't work out. It's just not conducive to the life that I'm living. And let me tell you, I day drink my ass off at this thing because the parade starts at noon. We have to be down there like by 10 o'clock. So, so we're drinking from 10. If the parade starts rolling at noon, what do we get done at 5?
Dude, we're at the end by 3:30. Shit, I think last year or whatever, we didn't run last year because of COVID. The year before, I think you were at your condo probably by 6 or 7 o'clock at night, passed out, bro. I came looking for you. I don't
day drink, man, but when I do, it's like I forget. It's like I don't ease into it. It's like nobody came to see Bruce Banner, man. Everybody came to see the Hulk. He's here.
Yeah. Well, when the Hulk was bringing bottles of rum and the rum is gone by the time the ride is over, you know someone's throwing up. Okay. So we'll get into that next time. Dave Grohl is celebrating a birthday. And I think it's fair to say, Rod, that you and I, huge Foo Fighters fans, huge Dave Grohl fans.
Yeah.
Like for instance, if you were to smell Dave Grohl's dick, it would smell like your toothpaste and my chewed bubble gum. Like, I'm pretty sure. Can we edit that out? Shit, why do I say that stuff? So
too late. Dave Grohl loves him some New Orleans too.
Big time.
You know, he's done some cool things there. He's played Jazz Fest. He chose the city when he was doing his 8 city kind of documentary, doing a song in each city. And he even said, he goes, man, New Orleans, it was really, really special for him. So he's got a great connection with New Orleans. Not only does he have a birthday coming up, but he's got a movie coming out next month, February 22nd. The full trailer dropped for the Foo Fighter movie. It's called Studio 666. Did you watch it?
The trailer's great. I think it's great. I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah, me too. And do we agree that it's probably going to be hokey?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I mean, is hokey a good, what's another word I'm looking for? I mean, cheesy. I don't want to say cheesy.
I'm feeling hokey. It'll be like you know what? In this day and age, if you're going to make a horror movie, it's really hard to make it a good horror movie without some cheese on it. You know what I mean? And it looks like the premise is, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, is they go to the studio to record an album, and then fucking, demons come out of the woodwork or some shit like that. So there's going to be some killing.
They choose to record, and they're playing themselves in the movie. So Dave Grohl is playing Dave Grohl, and the band is all in it. And they go to some mansion to record. And then I think that's where it kind of starts. So now you got a little Amityville horror. You got, the house is kind of possessing Dave.
Right.
And, because we're going to talk about Foo Fighter songs, I've always felt Dave Grohl is definitely a stage kid. If you go back, because, and I laugh because I think about like the movie Swingers, and I think about like Vince Vaughn, acting is reacting. I think he says that in 4 Christmases. And, Dave, if you go back to the early first videos and Big Me, he's a natural in front of the camera. Like he was, if you remember the Futos, remember they picked up the car and he's like, he ate the Mentos and he climbed through the limousine and he's a goofball. His acting is Learn to Fly. He's great in it. Like he's really, really good in the videos that he acts in the videos. So it's easy for him, I think, to kind of adapt. Everyone else seems to be okay. If you're in the Foo Fighters, you got to be all in the Foo Fighters. You got to be down for whatever Dave wants to do. And they all seem to be, drinking his Kool-Aid, no problem. You're okay. We're in the biggest band in the world. We'll do what you want. You think a movie is what we need to do? Okay, let's do a movie. They must have done it during COVID times because I would assume if Dave would have done this movie at any other time, there would have been a million cameos. And I don't know that there's not a million cameos, but I think this was a COVID movie. So you mentioned that it was kind of a horror flick. You can get away with cheese easier on a horror flick. Do you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think they will. And I think it won't matter. I think because the music's going to be great. There's going to be cool band shit. There's just going to be a lot of cool stuff going on. If you're a fan of the band, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good movie. It's like, I already know I'm going to like it, but I know there's going to be times where I'm going to go, ugh, that's cheese. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind because it's Dave Grohl and we know what his dick smells like now. So I'm okay with it.
Did you see Tenacious D Pick of Destiny?
I did not. I got my limits with Jack Black, man. He gets a little overcooked. You know what I mean?
I didn't see it either, but Dave Grohl plays like the devil in that movie, I think. And there's a lot of cameos and stuff. And that had to be stupid. It had to be stupid, but it probably was funny. Sure that movie got away from me for some reason.
Yeah. And, you mentioned that Dave Grohl and the rest of the band drinking the Kool-Aid, but at this point, okay, why the fuck not? You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You've been putting out great albums for years. You still sell out stadiums. I mean, you're still one of the biggest, if not the. Why the fuck wouldn't you? But that's what makes you the biggest band is because you are not afraid to take all these different risks and chances. This may flop. It may suck. It's not going to hurt them at this point.
Not at all. No,
it's not going to hurt them at all.
You can't damage them at all anymore at this point. No. I mean, I guess I got to be careful what you say. Anybody can be canceled, but but because they put out some kind of a schlocky, shitty movie, that's not going to not sell one ticket to the next time they come to your town live.
I mean, I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but Kiss probably didn't do so great with movies.
So Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park is horribly awesome. It's tremendously, terribly beautiful to watch.
Exactly.
It's so bad. It's so bad. It's great. Yeah. And they can just always say, listen, it's not Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, because that movie really is. What am I saying? I love that movie. I do. When I saw it on TV, it was just the best thing ever. I couldn't believe it. Going back to watching it, I haven't watched it in about 20 years, but I definitely watched it as an adult. And it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, no, it is. It's bad, but that's what's great about it. They can do it. At that time, Kiss could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Hey, we're going to put blood in our ink in our comics. Ooh, that sounds crazy. We're Kiss. Hey, we're going to make a movie about us in a phantom. Sounds like a great idea because they could do no wrong at the time. But I think I would hope the Foo Fighters put a little more thought into the script, into the production of this than Kiss did.
All right. So we're going to do our top 5 favorite Foo Fighter songs in honor of all the stuff going on with Dave. Like you said, his birthday coming up. Dave Grohl, 53, and a 2-time Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Talk about dropping tens. That's the benchmark right there. Although I don't remember him being 50. I don't know what he did when I have to look that up. See how he did.
I'm sure he was doing just fine, dude. I'm sure.
I probably did okay.
All right, let's take a short break with our one sponsor here, Pirates of the Quarter. Now, we just did a 35-minute commercial for the city of New Orleans.
Yeah, we did.
So Jake lives there. I've got a place there, and I love it. The Pirates of the Quarter is one of the things that is kind of come up in the last couple of years, and in a short period of time, it's become like the tour to take and to walk around the French Quarter. So when you go to New Orleans, take the Pirate Tour. There's no other walking tour like it in the city. You're going to hear stories of real pirates and their influence on New Orleans history, where you're going to be walking on this tour is where the stuff actually happened. And this is all historical, but it's cool. You're walking around, like Jason said, you can drink, you're drinking your beers and all that. You're walking around. Piratesofthequarter.com. All right. It's outside. It's social distance. So that's not a problem. The tour is fun. Okay. It's rated 5 stars. Bring your drinks. Hear the Pirates of the French Quarter. More info on the links wherever you get this podcast. And of course, piratesofthequarter.com, all the social media at Pirates of the Quarter. They're good at the social.
So when Dave Grohl was 50, it was 2019. They played the Rock in Rio Festival, like 100,000 people. So I'd say he did pretty good when he was 50. So yeah, he was dropping tens. He was definitely dropping tens. For sure. You know, Rod, this one was easy and it was difficult because being such a huge Foo Fighters fan, picking out my top 5 favorite Foo Fighters songs of all time, I basically just did it in my head in like 30 seconds. But then, of course, I dipped into the internet and went, oh, fuck. And then I listened to a couple songs I had never heard before from the Foo Fighters, if you can believe that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there's 10 albums.
Yeah.
There's 10 albums, not counting live stuff. And yeah, there's at least 10 albums now.
I was like, holy shit, there's good stuff.
The thing about the Foo Fighters for me is they've got hits. Obviously, we play them on the radio. Where when we did the Led Zeppelin list, you're in classic rock and you're sick of hearing songs. Or the watermark for what I'm about to say is, for me, still, it's Crazy Train by Ozzy. It's like, you've heard the song a million times. Did you forget how special it was? You know, do you keep that off of a top 5 list just because you've heard it ad nauseum? I saw Tom Brady run out of the tunnel to that thing. That kind of ruined the song for me. No, it's still a fucking great song. So you hear these Foo Fighters songs on the radio. I probably play a little bit more than you. Foo Fighters, I really don't get tired of. You know, I don't know what it is. I mean, you know, I have my favorites, which I'm going to talk about and you're going to talk about. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy when we're playing a Foo Fighter song.
You know, Dave Grohl, it is the Foo Fighters, basically. The band is still is there with him. Somehow it's like that's one of the bands that I'm just can still listen to. You know, I'm not putting on a Foo Fighters album very often, but I've got it my normal rotation when I'm at the house doing shit outside. You'll hear a Foo Fighters song come on. That's one of the few bands I'll give a shit about going and fighting a crowd and parking and go see live. You know what I mean? Like, I will take the time to do it. They put out an album, I listen to it right away. If they put out a video, I watch it right away because, you know, with Dave Grohl's history, it's going to be good. You know, I was trying to compare him, you know, which, you know, comparing is stupid, but we all do it. You know, at first I was like, well, is Dave Grohl kind of like the Tom Petty? You know what I mean? Like, he just keeps going, just keeps going. I think Foo Fighters got more hits at this point than Tom Petty. I'm sure someone will argue that point. Or is Dave Grohl kind of morphing into like a Paul McCartney now because he just keeps going and now he's doing anything and everything he wants to do. He's writing books, making movies. He's not going anywhere. He's the guy now. He's going to be the guy the next 20, 30 years who's going to be the one who they want talking at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremonies from now on. Here on out, it's going to be him.
For sure, he's going to be the go-to guy. I think the Petty comparison is fair. Because, you know, he's in the band, you know, like Tom Petty stood alone. Sure, there was the Heartbreakers, but Tom Petty did a lot of stuff on his own. And then there's Bruce Springsteen, you know. Yeah, there's the E Street Band, but it's Bruce, right? It's Bruce. And, you know, Dave's just so inclusive of everybody in the band. But you're right. I mean, he's such a standout person. The Tom Petty comparison is, I think, pretty spot on. He's American. He's Americana. He's a new Americana, where, you know, Dylan gave way to probably Bruce. And then, you know, there's certainly a huge overlap between Bruce and Petty, but I put him up there in that he's in that rarefied air for me, for sure.
And what's cool about Dave Grohl, Gen X, right? and he's still to this day, he's got the jean jacket, the t-shirt, he's still wearing the flannel shirt. He's wearing the Vans sneakers. He just, you know what? He feels like a guy that if you didn't know who he was, right? If you didn't know, somehow you didn't know who Dave Grohl was, and he walked into your place or he was next door, visited a friend, and you're like, hey, he would just be a cool guy to hang out with. You know what I mean? Like you've met him, you've interviewed him. I've met him a couple of times, seen him, and he's just like regular dude, with huge hulking security around him.
We've seen him out at a bar, just hanging out, smoking a cigarette and drinking in New Orleans.
No big deal.
He oddly enough, I mean, of course, we're a little giddy about it, but he's not giving off that huge, big cock energy that like like if Bruce Springsteen was there. Bruce Springsteen, I've never been in the room with him, nor have ever met him or anything, but that's got to be just Bruce cock energy,
Right.
And Dave's just assimilated in with everybody, he's just hanging out. Of course, everyone's kind of losing their mind, but he's just so ho-hum about who he is. And it's another thing that makes him so cool and endearing.
Yeah, it feels like he's always just happy to be there, man. Yeah, hey, we're hanging out in this bar. I'm happy to be in this bar right now. I could buy it twice over, no big deal. But yeah, I'm just happy to be here and drink some beers with you guys. Rod, you want to go first, or do you want me to go to first?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, good. I'm excited about this. So this is anytime we do these top fives, it always takes us down that rabbit hole, and I will continue to go down the rabbit hole. Went down a Faith No More rabbit hole during the week after last week's top five. And wow, I forgot how good their shit was. I really forgot how great.
I don't know what you listened to. There was a massive drop off from the first album to the second album with Mike Patton. There was an album, there was a singer beforehand. But dude, the album with Epic on it was just, it's crazy. It's a perfect album. It's an unbelievable album, like before its time. So, but it was hard for me because the Foo Fighters have so many hits. Their hits are fucking great. Their hits are great. I didn't have to go real deep.
No, and what's great is a lot of their songs that never made it radio hits. There's a lot of great just album material on a lot of their albums. So at number 5, I went back for my top 5 favorite Foo Fighters songs to Concrete and Gold from 2017, the song Run. And that's the one, if you don't remember, the video is where they're all dressed up as really old dudes and they're in the nursing home.
Do the Michael Jackson dance at the end.
Yeah, and it's so
at the end. You like that song? That's your favorite Foo song?
Yes. And I don't know why. It has nothing to do with running. I just
it didn't take you 2 seconds to bring up the video. And we got to talk about this with Foo Fighters. They fucking are the best video band out there. Yeah. They are. They're the best video band out there. Maybe the Treadmill Band is probably better, but they're not as big.
Okay.
Yeah. They're the best video band. And I associate so many of these songs with their video, and it makes me love the song even more.
Correct.
So the song Run, I think it's a good song. I think it's an amazing video. I wonder if the video make you love the song more. It's really not even a discussion anymore. It used to be when MTV was ruling the world. But with the Foo Fighters, a video can really influence how you feel about a song.
Yeah, and I think it did, because the first time I heard the song was watching the video, and I was just blown away. I'm like, holy fuck, this is awesome. This is so great. I still love the song, still listen to it a lot. I love the fact that it's like really, really fucking visceral and heavy, and then it's got a great hook, and it just, it's got a little bit of everything if you're a Foo Fighters fan in it. Run at number 5. Number 4. Best of You from In Your Honor 2005. Best of You is so fucking good. I mean, they say Best of You like 40 times in it, but I counted. That's what I do when I'm listening to the songs. I count how many times they say shit. Best of You, they played that. The reason I always liked the song, where it really punched home, was during a Saints playoff game years and years ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. They used part of it as a hype song in all the video. And it had been like one of the first times the Saints have been in playoffs in years. And it was just this electric moment. I was drunk as shit at the game, and it was blasted through the Superdome, and they used that song. And it was just, I was like, holy fuck, I really love the song even more now. But goes to your point where it was used for something else and it helped add. It creates a bigger memory. You know what I mean? So that's what's great about music. So Best of You at number 4. Number 3. Wow, I'm all over the board on this too.
All right.
Wasting Light. I love that freaking album. Walk. The song Walk.
Okay.
Learn to Walk Again. That's where in the lyrics near the end, he repeats, I never want to die. I never want to die. You know, all that over and over again.
Learning to walk again.
Yeah. And he's screaming it. And it's just like, you're pretty positive he doesn't want to die. You know what I mean? When you're listening to it. And I heard it or read it somewhere that, you know, being in Nirvana and Kurt Cobain was always moping around and miserable and just kind of like, you know, and after Kurt died, whenever Dave would do an interview with the Foo Fighters, they'd always talk about suicide. And he's like, man, I don't ever want to fucking die. I want to live forever. I love living. So every time I hear that song now and I hear that lyric and I think of that statement, I'm like, and you can tell that's Dave. He just loves living. Going back to our point of when he's hanging out in a bar, he's just fucking happy to be there, dude. And he's got a pretty good outlook on things. So yeah, Walk at number 3. Number 2, this will probably be a surprise. Everlong at number 2.
Come on.
Number 2. That's going to be, it's on number 1 on every list you ever look up. Everlong is so great. 1997, Color and the Shape, their second album. It's the one that put them on the map, really. Still great. Lyrics, everything about that song it's perfect. It really is. It's one of those perfect songs.
It is.
Number 1, and this is going to make sense when I explain it. A song that they did here in New Orleans in 2014. They recorded it here in New Orleans.
Number 1.
Yeah. How can it not be? First of all, it's a great fucking song. It's called In the Clear.
Off of Sonic Highways.
Sonic Highways. That's that 8-song album and the HBO documentary series. If you haven't watched that yet, man, what's wrong with you? Go watch it. Specifically, the New Orleans episode. And I've watched it probably 10 times. If you want to learn about New Orleans and New Orleans music and what makes our city tick, I'm telling you, watch the Foo Fighters Sonic Highway episode in New Orleans, because of all the documentaries I've watched over the years and all the way people try to describe New Orleans, it took Dave Grohl to put it together. You watch that documentary and it's got Dr. John and Alan Toussaint, all these great old, now dead New Orleans musicians. And they just pieced it together where you just kind of go, oh shit. And they talk about music and all this, how it comes together, the New Orleans sound, and it's everywhere. You just don't realize it. In the Clear was recorded, that whole album or that song was recorded at Preservation Hall. If you're not familiar with Preservation Hall, it's on St. Peter Street across from a great bar called Yo Mama's. And
Boondock Saint.
And the Boondock Saint. And that's where they recorded it. And Preservation Hall's normally got the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. And if you ever go to New Orleans, take the Pirate Tour, go to Preservation Hall. Those are 2 things you got to do. And in the Clear, the brass band plays on the song, and those horns just freaking pop. It's a great song, very hooky. And when you watch Sonic Highways, they explain how they do it and how they make it, and they're showing them recording it. It's such a great thing.
I love that album. It's one of my favorite Foo Fighter albums just because I watched every week. I couldn't binge it. He was releasing one city a week, and Chicago, I think, was the first one. And Something from Nothing, we played the shit out of that here in Houston. That was a bigger hit for us here at the Buzz than any other station in the country. We played that forever. We have more spins on that song than any station in the country. I know we do. I think we toyed a little bit with Congregation, the one with Zach Brown.
Right.
And that was in Nashville. And In the Clear was never released as a single, but they did play it live, and they did it on the Ellen show. And it is, to my knowledge, it's the only time the Foo Fighters played on Ellen DeGeneres' show. Ellen is from New Orleans.
Right.
And if they were going to do an appearance, they were going to do the New Orleans song on her show. I mean, you've seen, well, maybe you don't know, but, you know, she's always been kind of tied into Drew Brees, and she talks about New Orleans a lot. You know, it's really ingrained, and it's still a big part of her. But they did it live on there, and I always thought that was really, really cool. Because, again, it's the Foo Fighters. They're not worried about pushing the single. It's like, okay, you want us to come on your show? You're from New Orleans. Let's do the New Orleans track that we did. They wrote a song in each city that they visited, and the influence of the city affected the sound and everything that they laid down. And, you know, if you believe the documentary, Dave Grohl wrote those lyrics and everything in every city. And in about a week's time, you know, they gave the band a week. And then once they got there, they started working on a song.
Plus, when you listen to the lyrics in the clear from the Sonic Highways album, like I hear it, and you know all the lyrics, they're referencing shit I know. You know what I mean? Like about New Orleans, and it's like holy shit. So it hits harder for me. It's hard for me to separate. Is that a great song or not a great song? I don't fucking know, but I love it, and that's why it's my favorite Foo Fighters song. But then there's 50 other ones that I still love too. So, and I'm sure on your list, I'm going to go, yeah, fuck, I should have picked that song too.
Yeah, I don't know that you will. Mine's, I'm going to ham and egg this thing, man. This is like going to be really obvious stuff here for this. I'm not really going deep. I'm going deep. I'm going a little bit deeper on 5. And it's just, I love the song. And it could have been, I was pretty set with my 1 through 4. 5 could have been 8 songs. And I just kind of had to flip a coin. I was pretty set with 1 through 4. 5 was like, okay, everything else. I wanted to do like a Ginty wuss out. Okay, everything in at number 5.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
But I had to put one. No, it's not fair. In at number 5, this was never played on any radio station that I worked at. When I talk about the Foo Fighters, if I need a music bed, I put this in all the time. Stacked Actors is in at my number 5. I love that song. Dave Grohl lived in New Orleans, or he only lived in Los Angeles for a couple of years, but it's his disgust of what goes on in Los Angeles, which I never really wanted to live in LA. There's the glitz and there's everything. And just Dave said he was not an LA guy, but Stacked Actors, stacked to the rafters. I love everything about that song. I don't know why that was never like a huge hit. I don't remember being at a radio station playing it. I know they play it on XM Sirius. They play it on satellite radio once in a while.
I just don't think it was ever pushed as a single either, was it? I don't know.
You
look at, when I do my research, you look at a lot of these lists and it comes up a lot, so it's obviously it's a fan favorite.
It's a fucking great song. So that was my number 5. It's the only one that you're going to have to kind of go, okay, well, I'll trust Rod and I'll go look that one up. In at number 4 is, I believe, the same as you, Best of You in at number 4.
Wow.
So the song is awesome. I remember giving it the very first spin and not loving it. I remember playing, and Dave comes out, I got a confession to make, and it's dry. It's just him. And I remember hitting it the song because we all got it at the same time. We did the world premiere of it. And I would never be able to go find the tape on this, but I go, it's good. I don't know that I love it. I want to hear it a couple more times. Well, dummy, listen to it a couple more times. It's fucking awesome. The best part of that song is I'm talking to the Foo Fighters backstage. We talk about that song, and it wasn't long after Prince had played the halftime show of the Super Bowl, and that legendary. I still think U2 is the best. This would be a good one coming up with Super Bowl, best Super Bowl halftime shows, maybe a top 5. I still think U2 is the best, but Prince is right there. He fucking goes into Best of You.
Mm-hmm.
In just a montage, because then he goes from that to like All on the Watchtower or something like that. I'm interviewing Dave Grohl and I'm interviewing Taylor. Those guys are attached at the hip. And I said, you got to tell me what's going on, man. What are your thoughts? It was not long after the Super Bowl. I said, Prince did your song. And Taylor goes, I got this. He goes, okay. So I'm at a party, Super Bowl. I'm hanging out. I'm drinking. We're sitting on the couch. We're watching Prince. Our minds are fucking being blown away by Prince. And then he starts playing one of our songs. This is Taylor. He starts playing one of our songs. I get out my phone. I call Dave Grohl and I say, Prince is doing our fucking song way better than us right now at the halftime show. And Dave laughs and says, that's exactly how it happened. And he said, I was watching, and they were both, they were on the phone giggling like schoolgirls that Prince was playing their song. Those two guys were on the phone with each other when Prince does Best of You.
I'd forgotten that happened. I'm glad you brought that up, man. The whole
Dude, go back and watch the Prince halftime show.
It's amazing.
But when he slides into that, it took me a moment. I'm like, what is this? You know, when you hear a cover and it's not the voice, I mean, you hear Dave's voice and you know exactly what song it is, but you hear someone else and you're like, what is this? Holy fuck, it's the Foo Fighters. He's doing a Foo Fighter cover. And then he goes into Hendrix.
Right.
He brilliantly, as only Prince could do, just slides into the Foo Fighters and then slides out of it into Hendrix. And it's the greatest transition ever. And I still think it's the number 2 Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that. We'll have to do that as a top 5 because that could be good. That could be a good one.
Best of You, you had it at 4. I had it at 4. In at number 3. Times Like These.
Yeah.
I think lyrically, I think there's never a bad time for that song. I don't even know the words. I just know the premise of the song. In times like these, you really learn to live. And, you know, Dave's a pretty positive guy. And, you know, he pretty much, you take him at face value. And there's a couple of songs that he just really kind of hit. And it just, wow, this is magic. I think Times Like These is one of those songs. When you see that live,
yeah,
and if there's something shitty going on in your life, I don't think there's another song that speaks specifically to fucking turn your ass around. Okay. I know you talked about, you know, the lyrics in Walk. But Times Like These, it's like, okay, I want to get my shit together and we're going to learn to somehow make this work right here. And I don't go deep on lyrics that much, but that's the one song that Dave wrote that I do. I just think I think it's maybe lyrically his best song that he's ever written.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's it at number 3. In at number 2, a song that Dave Grohl does not like. Learn to Fly. I love Learn to Fly. I love the video, Jason Ginty. That video is maybe their best video.
Yeah, because it's got they're dressed as girls in it, and there's the flight and the Jack Black's in it.
Jack Black, yeah, Tenacious D, they're both in it, and Dave's playing 3 different characters and himself, and the video's awesome. I love that song for some reason. Dave Grohl does not like that song, and I think he kind of knows he has to play it live. I don't know if he has a problem with it formulatic, for like the formula of it, like it's just a rock song, you know. I don't think you need to overthink it. Mm-mm. It's my number 2 fucking favorite Foo Fighters song, and he doesn't even like it, but he does play it live. He knows that we like it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, you can't like all your songs. In fact, you know what? Going back to Best of You, he had to be convinced to put that on the album. He didn't. He was like, it's not that good. And his manager said, "What do you got? Play me some shit." And he's like, I got this piece of shit.
Yeah. You know, sometimes you're working on a song. If you watch that Beatles thing, and when you see those guys kind of throw out songs here and there, and it's like, you know, John Lennon's trying to get like, you know, don't let me down or don't bring me down, whatever the song is, and they just like, let's do something else. Dave had been noodling around on Best of You and didn't think he had it in there, and then it took somebody else to say, dude, you're onto something there.
It's amazing. That kind of shit is amazing, you know.
The best song that Dave Grohl's ever written, ever long. It's the best song. It's I have the drop. I have the drop that I play on the air when I play the song, and it's like, okay, David Letterman stole my line. My favorite band, my favorite song. Here's the Foo Fighters, and you know, that's Dave Letterman's favorite song. His life was saved in open heart surgery. And his first show back, he had all these people that were guest hosting for him. And it's his first show back. He brings out all the doctors that saved his life. They're all on stage. And then who's going to be his musical guest? His first day back. This is a huge must-watch TV moment holy shit, David Letterman back from heart surgery. Foo Fighters were on tour. Dave Letterman's people called. They said, Dave really wants you to be on his first show back. They fucking cancel shows. They come in from overseas. And Dave does the intro. My favorite band, my favorite song, Everlong. And then, and the song was already huge. You know, you had mentioned, you know, it's an older song. It wasn't a huge hit out of the gate. It was released as a single. We played it on the radio, but, you know, I'll say it. Howard Stern got him to do it acoustic, and that breathed all new life into that song. And everybody went and took a listen to it. It needed to be stripped down acoustically for you to realize the brilliance of it. And then you had to go back and say, okay, yeah, it's brilliant no matter how it's done. But when everybody heard the acoustic version on Howard Stern, that song became a classic, an instant classic.
Well, I think a lot of it is because you could hear the lyrics better. You know, the lyrics are just amazing. I mean, you want to hear some great lyrics. There's some great lines in there. You know, it's funny. We talk about David Letterman. David Letterman was one of the producers that end up years later producing Sonic Highways. His David Letterman's
that Pants production or something.
Yeah, that's his company. They worked together on producing Sonic Highways. So obviously they called a relationship over the years. But then you go back to it and it's like, these are all great songs, but you think about these moments that we just got done talking about. The videos are great. Okay, that helps your songs along, obviously. You
right talk about the gate, dude, on his first album, he made up his mind. He said, I'm going to make videos are not going to be something that, oh, ho hum, this is something that I have to do. It's like, we're going to go out and we're going to make great videos. And that's him kind of being a ham in front of the camera. That's a decision. And I think because of his love of Tom Petty made fucking great videos.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's a Tom Petty influence, another way that those guys are linked.
You know, even Everlong, that video is all about nightmares and all these nightmares coming true. And he's got this big hand. He gets slapping around some dudes. And it's like, it's goofy as shit, but it's an awesome video. And you remember it when you see it. So you can spend the rest of the night looking at Foo Fighters videos and going, holy shit, that's really good too. And they're all really actually quite interesting. What's the one with the Pretender? Is that the one where they're just kind of standing on the stage and then all of a sudden all these people come rushing at him and there's paint and shit everywhere? I don't know. He's got so many fucking great videos, and some of them are just simple. You know, the one for video, for the video for Walk, he's playing, what's the movie now? Falling Down with Kurt Russell. He's got the glasses and the tie. Michael Douglas, not Kurt Russell. Yeah.
He's got the flat top and he's just kind of leaves his car and he's had enough.
Yeah. They steal that. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. You know, the videos are so great. That helps them become a cooler band because the videos aren't cheesy usually. And if they're cheesy, they're meant to be, you know?
Yeah. It makes it, I mean, it makes it even better. I mean, Learn to Fly is cheesy. The video is cheesy, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. What'd you have? You got stuff in front of you. What'd you have bubbling under?
Everything else. I mean, I know that's a shitty answer. You know, I really love the album, what's it called? Wasting Light. That had a song called Dear Rosemary, where Bob Mould comes in and sings backgrounds. It's the one he did in his garage, Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl's garage.
On the Sound City, with the Sound City board. So
yeah,
that album,
they brought it in.
That's the album that came with that big chunk of tape in it, that 8-track.
Yeah.
It came with a piece of analog tape in it. Yeah, it came inside the CD. Yeah, of course, they're just like, you know, one of my favorite bands. I go back to I'll Stick Around.
Huge.
I'll Stick Around. I mean, the first album, this is Dave Grohl, you know, he's just passing around cassettes to people. And I'll Stick Around is, and I think later on we kind of, you know, everybody kind of thought My Hero. I'm surprised My Hero wasn't on your list. My Hero is a huge song and I love that. That was kind of bubbling under. And he kind of, I mean, Dave Grohl never just went out and said, I'm never going to talk about Nirvana. He talked about it, you know? But everybody kind of assumed that, you know, My Hero was about, you know, Kurt, and it wasn't. But the song that I think everybody assumes is about Courtney Love is I'll Stick Around. And if you listen to the lyrics of that, I don't owe you anything. Him and Courtney were not getting along early in those early days. And Courtney she wasn't happy about him being so successful. I never really understood that.
Well, and Billy Corgan didn't write all of Dave Grohl's albums for him. You know what I mean? Oh, shit. It's another great song. They did this thing. I think they were in Texas or Austin. And they stayed at like this hotel. There's a song called Saint Cecilia that is fucking great.
That's a vinyl they put out, I think.
Yeah, that's an EP. That's a great song. Shit, I just had one too, and I can't. Who gives a shit? They're all out there. Go listen to them. They're all great.
Here's a sleeper hit, because I already told you that I kind of love every single song off of Sonic Highways. I think the Chicago song is the best. It was the first episode.
Yeah.
I went rogue. I was trying to get Radio Wizard to play I Am a River. That was the New York episode. So much so because the song is so long. The buildup is so long. I made what we called, it's in the system. It's called I go, dude, you got to be a fucking maverick. Okay. I'm going to make a maverick edit for you. And I'm telling you, this song's going to pop and people are going to love it. He let me play it twice and that was it. I never had the balls to tell Dave that I chopped up one of his songs. It would be like telling a painter that, you didn't like the birds you like the whole painting, but you didn't like those birds over here. And you just kind of use some white out on there. I never had the balls to tell Dave that I chopped up one of his songs. It was too long. It was never going to get played on the radio, but I wanted to play it on the radio. So my Maverick edit is out there somewhere. And we were such Mavericks. We played it twice.
You guys are rebels.
The audience didn't give a shit. They didn't hear what I heard. I love that. But my sleeper song, and tell me if you remember this, the song, and I believe whatever version's on the album, I think it's just Dave. Even though the band was all together already. He had already had everybody. But when he re-recorded it for the X-Files soundtrack, I think he had the whole band there. It's a slow ballad. I think it's about his first wife. Walking After You is a fucking awesome ballad. It's a true ballad. It doesn't ever rock out at all.
No.
It's like, all the Foo Fighters songs, they build up and then they got the dynamics, and sonically they're always kind of like, speeding up or getting louder. And this one stays true to a ballad all the way through. Walking After You, specifically from the X-File movie soundtrack.
Yeah, the Color and the Shape album version is really kind of it's still a great song. But yeah, when they bring in all the other fun shit with the band, it's just so great. That was a single, I think, wasn't it? Didn't they release it as a single? That was a hit.
Yeah, 97. 96, like you said, 97, I think that's Color and Shape. So yeah, it's on that album. That's not the version that we played.
No. And Monkey Wrench.
Yeah, Monkey Wrench.
Monkey Wrench is great.
Single. That was the first single.
Off that second album. Yeah, dude, we could do this all day. Yeah, Foo Fighters. I mean, what are you going to say? Like I said earlier, you know what his dick smells like? Rod's fucking toothpaste and my chewed bubble gum. I mean, we know. We can sit here all day long and talk Foo Fighters, but we're not going to, because we're going to talk some football. We talk sports, Rod. We're talking sports now.
Okay, so Buffalo Bills in the playoffs.
Well, before we go to the playoffs, let's go back in time, Rod. I did a little archival research today.
Did you?
I went back into the Playpants archives, which I keep in my attic over here, and I dug up some old footage, and I'd play it back, but it's a shit show. We're not technically advanced at that point yet. I'll just tell you what we said. We gave predictions in the beginning before the season started.
Okay.
Back in late August, we gave predictions for the Houston Texans, their final record. You gave a prediction for them. I gave a prediction for the New Orleans Saints, and we both gave predictions for the Buffalo Bills, what their final record at the end of the regular season would be. So to go back, and I'll tell you, Rod, we were close. For two guys that don't know shit about sports, we did okay. We did okay. You said originally, we were just hemming and hawing like we do, and going back and forth, and you're like, oh man, I'm feeling 4 wins. I'm feeling 4 wins for the Texans this year. You said 4 a couple times, but then you settled on 5 wins. You settled with 5. and the Texans actually went 4-13. So you were there. You were there, man.
And I was eating a ton of shit here locally. Number one, why are you talking about my Texans like that? Listen, I like the team too, man. I love the team. I love the Texans. If you know your shit, you can say your shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you want that to be the record. But with everything going on with Deshaun Watson, and then we won our first game. So there was the one guy with the Deshaun who, and they're like, okay, Rob, there you go. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, apparently I do know what I'm talking about. Yeah. We have the number 3 overall pick in the draft. Texans stink. You're allowed to say that when you stink. Doesn't mean you don't like them, okay? Bills fans, been eating shit for 20 years, okay? You complain about them. You still love them, but you complain about them. That's what you do.
Yeah. It's like when your kid...
You have to explain that to people.
When your kid brings home artwork, you know what? Some of it goes on the fridge. Some of it's shit. You don't put it up there. You still have your kid. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The Saints, I went round and round again, and I ended up saying they were going to get 10 wins this year. They ended up going 9-8. So I was off by a game. So you missed by a game. I missed by a game. And then the Buffalo Bills, we went around and around because we both love the Bills, obviously, being from the area. Rod, you got aggressive. There was telling me to shut up a couple of times. There was a lot going on in that conversation, I recall. You said the Bills were going to get 13 wins. 13. And you know what? They probably should have, but they shit the bed a couple of times. I mean, you don't lose to the Jaguars. What the fuck was that? You said 13 wins. I said the Bills would get 12 wins. They ended up 11-6. So we were close, but so that's where our predictions weren't bad for non-sports talk radio guys. Not bad, I thought.
Well, what do you see this weekend then? So was there any scenario where the Saints were going to make the playoffs if they had some help from some other teams? Was that game still on the edge of your seat type of deal? You're watching other scores, other games?
Yeah. It was, if they beat the Falcons in our final game, the Saints beat the Falcons, and they did. And then the Rams had to beat the 49ers. If the Rams had won that game, we'd be playing the Rams this week in the first round of the playoffs, but we're not. We're just sitting around eating king cake here in New Orleans. So we're out, which is okay. I don't know how good we would have done. You know, our team was patched together. The fact that we won 9 games was actually pretty amazing, but it's all about the Bills now, dude. It's all that matters to me. That's it.
Yeah. As I look, so the Titans got a bye week. Packers got a bye week with the restructuring, 17 weeks, the amount of teams that are going in. Only 2 teams aren't playing this weekend. So Saturday, Raiders at Bengals is the early game, and then Patriots at the Bills. I mean, Raiders at Bengals, you know.
Bengals,
Joe Burrow, right?
Yeah, LSU. Joe Burrow's a fucking rock star. He's cool as all get out. They're not going to go all the way, but Bengals this week for sure. I'm picking Bengals. All right.
Bengals are going to be good for a long time, I think, moving forward. I really do. I'll take the Bengals on that. Patriots at the Bills. Single-digit temperatures, my friend. I don't know if you saw what the temperature is going to be like. I think the high is 8 degrees during the day. So it's going to be right at 0. I just don't buy into the home field advantage like everyone does. I don't.
Not with the Patriots and Bill Belichick. No. This is, if any other team, I'd be like, fucking Bills. Any other team in the AFC, I'd be like, Bills. This one, I'm kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm taking the Bills, but I'm not feeling good about it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, because it's the fucking Patriots, and they're 1-1. This is the grudge match game, you know, and the Bills Patriots, 8 degrees. You don't even need a shirt. You just paint your chest in Buffalo. That's all you're going to need. You're good.
It's going to be nasty.
That's just that one. That's stink. Any other team, I'd be like, okay, we're cool. Fucking Patriots though, man.
So people ask, why is there no dome in Buffalo? And I said,
not pussies.
Dome stadiums they're playing in the same stadium that they had from their first year well, that's not true. They did play a couple of games at a baseball stadium, the old rock pile. Yeah. So like OJ's first, I think 2 years in the league, maybe the first year, he was at another stadium. So they built the stadium. There wasn't a lot of dome stadiums for football back then. And then the Bills just never got a new stadium. They never got a new one. So, I mean, sure, the Superdome is old, but Buffalo, I don't buy into the home field advantage. Your game gets sloppy. That last game against the Patriots, if you watched it, that's the one that the Patriots only threw it like 3 or 4 times the whole game.
Yeah.
Punts go 15, 20 yards sometimes in bad weather. And then games are decided by somebody fumbling a fucking punt return or a kickoff. And there's no advantage because you have a Buffalo Bill logo on your helmet. If it's 3 degrees outside and it's snowing and it's windy, everyone's going to fucking have a hard time catching the ball. Stephon Diggs is not from Buffalo, okay? Yeah. Nobody is from Buffalo. All those guys, anybody that's a superstar, they're all from fucking down south. There's no advantage. I don't buy into that at all.
No, and I've always been a fan.
Except for the fans. Of course, you have a home field advantage. Sure. You've got the fans pumping up the team. They're being disruptive when the other team's offense is out there. But that whole weather thing in Buffalo, fuck, maybe that's just me getting old. And I don't have to sit in there. I don't know that I could sit through a whole game. It's 2 degrees outside on a fucking aluminum bench seat, guys.
But I don't get the whole like, hey, you got a dome stadium in Vegas. Oh, it's going to be hot. Okay, fuck off. You got one in Houston. Open the fucking, you guys close the roof on that thing if there's going to be mist. It's like fucking, dude. Play outside. Football was born outside. Play outside. I fucking hate dome stadiums. You go to the Superdome, it's like going to the mall. Everyone's all dressed up. I'm like, where the fuck? There's no survival out here. That's why Buffalo is crazy. Now, I'm not going to go sit in fucking 0 degrees either. I'll say that, but
I would go if I was in town. If I didn't have my kid with me, I probably would have gone to that game. I got the Bills to win. I'm definitely picking the Bills to win. Eagles at Buccaneers.
Tampa.
Fucking hate him. I hate him, but I got to go with the Bucs on that too.
Yeah.
49ers at the Cowboys.
I'm going to go 49ers because fuck Dallas.
I can never pick Dallas. I can never pick for Dallas.
Why do people like Dallas? It's just dumb. I don't get it.
I'll tell you right now, a game that am excited to watch, and I'm hoping for a miracle. I would like Big Ben to beat the Chiefs. That would be awesome. I've always kind of been a low-key Steelers fan just because of my hatred of Dallas. And when I was growing up, the reason why Dallas was like in the heyday of the NFL, it seemed like when I was a kid, it seemed like Dallas and the Steelers were in the Super Bowl every year. And it was Staubach and Terry Bradshaw. And my dad liked Terry Bradshaw. My dad was bald. Terry Bradshaw was bald. I don't know what it was. But, Terry was, in the Rust Belt. So my dad was a Steelers fan. He liked Terry. So I've always kind of liked the Steelers. There's no way they're going to beat the Chiefs, but fuck, that would be so good for Buffalo.
Yeah, but the Bills got to take care of biz against, New England, so that's going to be tough. Yeah, the Steelers, they back their way into the playoffs, but you know what? You got to love the Steelers. They always seem to show up. They always are prepared, so that's a good team.
Ben's last game, too.
Yeah, he can still play, but man, is he wobbly.
Yeah, I got to go Chiefs on that. And then Cardinals at the Rams.
Fucking Rams, you never know what they're going to do. They're different every week, and the Cardinals are kind of shit in the bed too lately. So it's like fucking
they've been banged up.
So two weird. I like the Rams. I do. I like.
I'll take the Rams on that as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I wrote it all down, just so we can fucking go. Jesus, we suck next week. We'll just go. Jesus, we suck at sports. We'll stick to music. So, Rod, you ever win something and it not really feel like a good victory? And I don't know how to ask that question. I'm not quite hitting it right, but say you win and you worked for it, and I'm not saying cheated and won. I'm saying you earned it, you worked for it, you won, but it just felt, nah. Yeah, you know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at here?
I don't know. I don't get excited about the best local DJ award.
Well, no, because that's just silly.
I don't get overly excited about that. It's nice when you win. And I've won it a handful of times, but it doesn't ruin my day one way or the other. I don't know if that's where you're going.
Kinda. This is different. Let me explain really quick. Okay. So I've been running a lot of races lately. And again, dropping fucking tens, dude, dropping them.
I got tens everywhere.
I got this. Look at this. Look at this little plaque. I don't know if you can see it. I got the shine on the fucking light.
I saw it on Instagram. I didn't know. It looked like you were holding up a fucking CD.
Yeah, well, it's about as big as a CD. And it says the Jackson Day race, the 115th anniversary Jackson Day race. First place for my age group, 50 to 59. Yeah. I came up, dude, I won. I fucking won my age group, dude. I kicked ass. I crushed everybody.
That's great. Congratulations.
I won, and I should be like fucking doing backflips and all this great shit, right? And there wasn't just me in that age group. There was a lot of other guys in that age group. So I did actually beat people. So before you start thinking that way, I won, but I lost. Here's why I say that. As I was finishing the race, and this is a 9K, so it's like a little over 5.5 miles. I was running my game. I was on it. I was hauling ass. I got to the last like mile, and I was feeling like, holy fuck, I'm gonna die, because you're pushing. It's a race. You're running harder than you normally do when you train. And I'm feeling like my lungs are gonna come out of my nostrils at any minute. All that horrible shit. And I got a lot of space. There's a guy ahead of me, way up ahead of me, and I couldn't catch him. And then when I made this one turn, there was nobody behind me. I'm like, I'm just gonna cruise it in at this pace, and I'm gonna take whatever place I'm in. Yay. I'm doing a good time. Everything. I was happy with that. As I'm getting closer to the end, I'm now 3/4 of a mile away. I look over my left shoulder, and there's a dude behind me now. I'm like, where the fuck did that guy come from? I'm like, okay, let me try and speed up, except for I'm on zero, man. I got nothing left to give. I'm like, try and go faster, but there's nothing in the tank.
Right.
And I'm starting to hear the footsteps, and they're climbing up on me. And they're climbing up on me. And they're getting louder, and they're getting louder. And I'm trying everything to push harder, right? We get like 300 yards from the finish line, and the motherfucking dude passes me.
Oh.
He passes me, and he beats me by like 9 seconds. So 9 seconds is not very far, not a lot. Okay. But I couldn't do it. I had nothing. I was zeroed out. I had pushed myself as hard as I could through the entire race. So he beats me, and I'm thinking, okay. And he was a tall, skinny guy. And I thought, he's probably like 35, 40, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. And I come through the finish line, and he's looking at me, and he comes right over to me right afterwards as we're drinking waters, trying to breathe. He goes, holy shit, dude, I've been trying to catch you for 3 miles. He goes, you're fucking fast. And I'm like, dude, you passed me. You did better than catch me. You passed me and you beat me. I said, I heard you coming. I had nothing left in the tank. I couldn't push any harder. I had my foot right to the floor. Nothing was there to give. He goes, I was dying. So anyway, okay, we had a nice conversation. We talked a little race strategy, all this shit, and then we separated. Well, then you go get beers afterwards, or waters and chips, and then they give out all the awards. So what they have is they break it down. Your first place, that guy won by 1,000,000 miles, killed me, and then you got your first place male finisher, your first place chick, and they kind of break it up into categories. So kind of you feel good about yourself, and make it fair for the older folks like me. Well, they give away this prize. It's called like the Grand Master, which means if you're 50 and older,
right, it
means you beat everyone in all those age groups. Okay. You're the fastest one of anyone 50 and older. And it's supposed to be a pretty cool thing, apparently. I don't know. I haven't quite done all my research on these races. So I'm standing there with a wife, and because she had ran it too, and she did really well. And we're standing there having a drink and just listening to them call out the names. And they're giving out these nice trophies. You've seen the Andrew Jackson statue in Jackson Square in New Orleans in front of the cathedral. The trophies looked like Andrew Jackson on the horse. They were really nice.
Badass.
It was fucking beautiful trophies. They called up this dude for the Grandmaster trophy, this nice trophy. Guess who it was?
The dude
Rod.
that passed.
The motherfucker that passed me was 50 years old. He beat me by 9 seconds.
Yeah, but you got first place in your age group.
Well, they don't give it the two prizes to the same dude. So technically I got second place, but that's how that works. So my wife looks at me and she goes, is that the fucking guy that beat you? Because I was pissed. I go, yes. I go, now it's even worse. Now I'm really pissed. So then like 5 minutes later, they go through then they start giving out the age groups. They go 50 to 59-year-old, first place, Jason Ginty. And then they said,
you're in a new cell now.
And then I went, so I walked up there, and you got to take a picture with like the guy who handles the trophies. I'm just kind of like, and you got to watch the YouTube version of this. I kind of look at him, I go, thanks. Shook his hand. I walked away. So it was, yes, I did well. Yes, I did a great time. Yes, I got my little plaque. But because I didn't train hard enough at some point, I didn't win what I thought I didn't know I didn't know I could win that prize, first of all. This guy beat me. My point is, Rod, don't quit. When you think you're dead, you got a little left in the tank. You always do. And I didn't. So I'm pissed.
When I was running those 5Ks, Tessa did like the last 3 or 4 with me. And 2 of them, she's like, oh, I got this old guy, blah, 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 because she's about 15 years younger than me. And she was running neck and neck with me the whole time. And if you don't think her and I were going 300 yards, balls to the wall, I'm like, I am not fucking losing to my new co-host. I don't care how younger she is than me. We were really pushing each other. And then she was surprised that we ran as fast as we did the whole time. After that, she's like, I'm not running with you. I'll run the race with you and I'll see you at the finish line, but I'm not running that fast. I have no interest in this. Those races, because you hadn't done one in a long time. I told you, once you get around people, it's just like, fuck, your adrenaline hits. You think you're just there just to casually, okay, it's all about me. I'm going to put in some tunes and I'm just going to have a good time and be a good person and run. And then you start passing people and it feels pretty good. And then somebody passes you and it feels pretty shitty. It just happens. It's just, you either have a competitive nature and competitive bones in your body or you don't. And apparently I do. I didn't want to hurt myself, but I didn't casually run any of the 10 5Ks that I did.
No, you can't. You get caught up in the competitiveness. And guess what? I will fucking beat this guy next time I see him. I will crush his soul. I will pass him so hard.
Psycho guy. You're already psycho runner guy.
That's going to be me. I'm not kidding. No. My wife's like, oh boy, this is the worst. Cause now you're going to be fucking insane about it. I'm like, yep, I am. Yep. I have nightmares now. I have nightmares about fire and I have nightmares about this dude passing me. I want to give a shout out real quick, Rob, before we finish up. Billy Matthias, he listens usually on Saturdays to our podcast. He does all his long runs on Saturdays and he pops in the podcast. He's running the Houston Marathon this Saturday. And I just want to say good luck to him. If he hears it beforehand, good luck. If it's afterwards, hope you did well. But he has been, and I've never met this guy. This guy's in Houston. All these runs I do and all the 10K a day stuff I did back in November, he would post all the time. Or he would send me a DM going, hey, dude, that's awesome. Great message. Keep running. Keep it up. Keep it up. This dude has supported me more than anyone has ever supported me in the endeavor of this running thing. It's like I have this running friend. I don't fucking know who this guy is. So I wanted to give thanks for all the support, first of all. And second of all, go kick some ass, bro. Crush it. And he knows what he's doing. Like he's giving me pointers along the way. Like he's the one who said, dude, you should got to come in and run the Houston Marathon. It runs right by Rod's house. We stop in and get some beers. I'm like, I want to check on that. So Billy, go kick some ass, dude. And thanks for all the support the last few months in running. And to tell you, man, it's weird. Whatever you do in life, you start to get this community around you. And whether you're into fixing motorcycles or whatever it is, you get into that community, man. And then you're just making all these new friends and it's cool as shit.
It happened to me. I only ran 10 5Ks, but you start seeing the same people at places. And there's a guy here, and a lot of people do know him. His name is Bartender X. And he, from the very first race, he listens to the show. He heard I was going to do it. He was excited. And he gets up and runs, and he's a fucking maniac like you. And he would get done with races, and then he'd cross the finish line, and then he'd start running the opposite way, and he'd come and find us. Like he'd come and find me. And then at the end there, he found like Tessa and I, and like he came to get us. And then he ran with us just to like motivate us. And, he was the greatest guy. And I really thought that we shouldn't feel this way about any group of people or anything. So let me just get that out of the way. But I really didn't expect to embrace or be embraced by people that got up fucking early in the morning on really cold Saturdays and ran races. I'm like, okay, bunch of fucking weirdos. I have nothing in common with them. I'm going to go and run my race. And I'm going to go home. And it's like people, they hang out, they drink beers afterwards. Everybody uses the same dad joke, well, this is the worst you're going to feel all day. It doesn't matter what race you're in. Somebody's going to say that. Right. and then you're going to get like, oh, my quads. But they were really great people. They were all super, super great people. And they weren't as weird as I thought they were going to be.
No, actually, I don't have the picture yet, but when I get the picture of me accepting my little plaque, I'll make sure I put it up on our Instagram page because, well, you just got to see the shorts. I'll just leave it at that. I was so proud as a peacock up there in those shorts. I was excited about the shorts, not necessarily the plaque. So anyway, any final thoughts, Rod?
Yeah, just nothing great. Just Alex on the show bought me an Apple TV box because he got sick of talking about Ted Lasso.
Oh no.
He wanted me to watch it so bad. This guy, and then Tessa's watching it and they're talking about it and they want me in on these discussions so bad. And I've never seen somebody work so hard. Rod, I promise you, this guy reminds me of you. The stuff that you say to us, you're going to love this guy. So it was really funny when we do a big gift exchange at the end of the year and Alex bought me this Apple TV box. And I was the old man on 4 Christmases. How much is this going to cost me? Okay. What is this box? What's the out of pocket here for me? He's like, you get it for 3 months for free. I'm like, okay. So I hooked it up and Ted Lasso's fucking great. I'm only 4 episodes in. I want to watch more. I can't wait to watch more of them. But when somebody talks about something so much, it can't be this good. Okay. Now there's just out of hand. Okay. There's no way it's going to live up to it. The buildup is way too much. And it's that good. Ted Lasso is fucking awesome. It's just, I need a hero like that in my life. I need him. He's positive. Nothing gets him down. And I wish, even anybody that even mentions that, hey, this reminds me, you're going to like this guy. Being mentioned in the same sentence of Ted Lasso is such a compliment for anybody out there. So if I could turn one other person onto it, it's great. It's awesome. It's on fucking Apple TV. You got to get a box for it. Or watch it on your fucking phone. I don't know. It's great.
I'm just glad you're watching so I can use some references now. Cause man, it's tough. Cause I was going to say some shit. I'm like, he's not going to know what the fuck I'm talking about. So you're 4 episodes in. I'm not going to say shit cause I don't want to ruin anything for you, but it is great. And it just gets better and better. Okay. It's so fucking good. And then the more you start diving in and learning more about these people, it really gets good. It's just so much going on. And again, it's about fucking soccer. Who gives a shit about soccer? It's really not.
Of it, it's not, that's the least important aspect of it. And it is super positive because it's important for me, doing this job as long as I do. I still got to I have no problem staying plugged into what's going on in the world. That's not a problem for me at all.
Right.
When there's so much streaming shit right now, and I just want at least one other person to hear this, that I'm overwhelmed. Okay. When people are talking about all this stuff, this is on Hulu and this is on Tubi and this is on Apple. Like, it's overwhelming to me. So what happens is I don't watch anything and I just kind of have the news on in the background. I spend a lot of time in this room right here prepping for the show. And I know it sounds weird. Like, one of my things was like, dude, you got to kind of watch some stuff. You do kind of got to watch some stuff just so you can kind of keep up. I can go toe to toe with anybody on any fucking current event going on. I'm lost on all the TV stuff. So I Googled Succession and Billions, and I said, which one's better? Because I think that I would be interested in that. I think I would be interested in it. And it just seemed to nudge towards Succession. So I started watching Succession, and these are the most evil fucking people. They're all pieces of shit, and I'm still watching it. And Ted Lasso's the complete opposite, and I needed it. Because I did kind of commit to watching this Succession show, and they are all pieces of shit on that show. I don't know if you've watched any of that.
I haven't.
They're just backstabbing and awful. The family, they're terrible people. And I don't love it as much as everybody, but I want to commit and I want to stay with it. Ted Lasso, I can't wait to watch more episodes. And I all I was going to do was mention it. So I didn't want to go on and on about it. But those guys, they were dead right. I know you had mentioned it before. Everyone's right about how great it is.
Yeah. And like shows like Succession and Billions, it's like, there's already enough in that world. I don't want to watch a TV show about it. I know that shit's happening and I fucking hate it already. So Ted Lasso, you want to see the good because the good never gets shined, you know. We got to end this fucking thing, but have you caught up with Cobra Kai?
I watched the whole thing. I love it. That's another one that to me, it's, it makes me feel good. Sometimes I watch Succession and I'm just like, God, pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. I'm total Eagle Fang. I'm total Johnny. I did Cobra Kai in 2 days, late at night, put the kid to bed, loser, not going out on the weekend. Boom. I stay up late and watch Cobra Kai. Still got to get up early with the kid, but it was worth it. I got to knock this out. It's 5 hours. It's 10, 30-minute episodes. Awesome.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. Again.
Yeah. It makes me question the whole fucking karate world a little bit, but it is great. And I don't want to talk about it, but it was cool. I like where they went with it. I thought it was neat. And I'm very curious to see where they go next year with it, and I don't want to ruin it.
Another year. That's a long time. 5 hours. I did it in 2 sittings. Like I did 4 in 1 in a weekend. Loser. Do I have to wait till Christmas next year? Come on, guys. You can put it out a little quicker than that, can't you?
Just because you watched it in 2 nights doesn't mean it doesn't take a long time to put that shit together. It takes months and months and months. So that's the problem. People are so used to just fucking, I'm going to watch a whole season in 2 nights. That's cool. But that shit, you got to write it. You got to produce it. You got to cast. You got to do all that shit. I mean, it takes forever to make those things.
That's why I played my cards brilliantly. And I didn't think everybody was going off about Game of Thrones for the longest time. And I just didn't. I'm like, I'm not watching the fucking dragon shit. I'm not watching.
I felt the same.
I'm like, this is dumb. Sorcerers, Potter. I'm not your guy. So I can't remember why we started watching it. But it took us a while because there was already like probably 9 seasons, right? Was there 10 seasons or 9 seasons? Whatever it was.
A lot. There was a lot.
We binged all of Game of Thrones for a couple of months and timed it out to where I had to watch the last 4 or the last 5 episodes. I had to wait and watch them on Sunday nights. And I'm like, why am I waiting? I don't wait for stuff. I have never had to wait. So, but it was kind of fun to kind of go through that experience with everybody.
Right.
You had to stay up on Sunday. You had to talk about it with everybody on Monday. So I timed that one out pretty well. But
there's too much.
But still, yeah, there's too much, right? It's overwhelming. There's just so much shit.
Everyone's like, oh, you got to watch Yellowstone. You got to watch Succession. You got to watch it. I'm like, no, I can't. I don't want to be that committed to any TV. I want to pick a couple of episodes or a couple of things and just kind of go through it and be done with it. I don't like to, I feel like I'm wasting time when I'm watching TV like that. But so I've got to really be careful what I choose. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spend every night, all night watching fucking TV. I got shit to do. I
got a podcast I got to do. I can't watch I could be watching an episode of Succession tonight, but no, I got to fucking do a podcast with you. I could be watching Ted Lasso right now.
2 episodes of Ted Lasso, but the 7 people that listen to this podcast, dude, they appreciate it. They appreciate it. They appreciate, you know what I appreciate, Rod? Tippy Toe from last week.
Tippy Toe, were you laughing?
I was shocked at how many people wrote it. I was shocked. We had a lot of people. So those of you that stick around, hey, I don't know why. I mean, thanks is I think what I meant, but yes. I don't know why. That's all I got, Rod. I'm done tonight. I'm out. I'm taking my little plaque and I'm going to bed.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to kick that guy's ass and I will let you know when I do. Don't you worry.
Thank you, everybody, for checking this out.
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at Play Pants Pod.